Who are the New York Jets going to draft in April? I'm your host, Drew Jets, and here's a very early 2022 New York Jets mock draft. Let's start mocking. So let's start things off at pick number 4. And I have us selecting Kyle Hamilton, safety from Notre Dame, at that pick. The New York Jets need a defensive playmaker, and Kyle Hamilton does that very well. He's amazing in coverage and safety. Has been a liability for the Jets this season. If there's been a big pass play let up by the Jets defense, it's most likely been because safety did not do their job, but there's been a passing touchdown. It's most likely been because safety did not do their job. So the New York Jets need a safety. We'll get the best one on the board and arguably the best defensive back in the class in Kyle Hamilton. Pick number 5, I was selecting Georgia Karlaftis, edge rusher from Purdue. Now look, I want Aiden Hutchinson and Kayvon Thibodeaux as much as you guys, but sadly I don't think they fall to the New York Jets. So you get the next best edge rusher in the class in Georgia Karlaftis. I mean, this guy has been in the top 10 on literally everyone's big boards. He's always been selected in the top 10 in like everyone's mock drafts. I mean, this guy is good. He doesn't put up the stats like the other two players, but he has a chance to become better than those guys. I mean, some of the things that he doesn't do amazing are run defense. He's not really amazing at block shedding, but he is just a force. He just drives offensive linemen into the quarterbacks. I mean, this guy is awesome. I mean, he was a first-team All-American in 2019 as a true freshman. That's got to say something. So, I mean, if this guy is developed properly, which he probably will be because he's a very smart dude, he will be a stud. I mean, he also reminds me a lot of Carl Lawson in the way that he gets a lot of pressures, just not sacks. I mean, just imagine having two pressure machines on the edge going at the quarterback. That's going to be awesome to see. And if the New York Jets don't get Hutchinson or Thibodeaux, hopefully we can get Karlaftis. Pick 36, I have us selecting Jahan Dotson, wide receiver from Penn State. Now, if you guys don't know who this is, you should look him up right now. Look at his highlights. I mean, this guy is a playmaker. He has had a fantastic season for Penn State this year. 1,182 yards, 12 touchdowns. The guy is super fast. He's an amazing route runner. It's just his size isn't exactly the size you want for an NFL wide receiver. He's 5'11", 183 pounds. I mean, if you play him in the slot, that's fine, which the New York Jets most likely will. It's just his size is a little concerning. But I mean, this guy is a stud, and if his quarterback play for Penn State, wasn't, as inconsistent as it's been for the 4 years Dotson was there, he probably would be considered higher in this draft. And his stock probably will rise once the combine happens and stuff. But I mean, if the New York Jets can somehow land Dotson at 36, I would be a very happy man. At pick 40, I have us selecting Jalen Wydermyer, tight end from A&M. He is an awesome receiving tight end. The guy can block amazing. He is the best tight end in the class by like 1,000 miles. And if this was a tight end needy class like it was in 2019, he would be picked in the top 15. But there's probably not going to be a tight end drafted in the first round this year, and Wydermyer is probably going to be the first tight end off the board at pick 40. So, I mean, lucky the Jets got him because this guy's going to be a dog in the NFL. At pick 68, I have us selecting Daniel Falele, the offensive tackle from Minnesota. Now, Falele is huge. He's 6'9", 379 pounds. It's just he's a very raw player. He's only played competitive football for 4 years. I mean, he has the traits to become an elite offensive tackle. It's just he needs to be developed. I mean, he's a huge boomer bust player because if this guy isn't developed, he's going to be a bust. But if he is developed properly, this guy's going to be a stud. Which is why if you sit him behind George Fant for a year, develop him behind the scenes for his rookie season, then I do think he could become a pretty solid player. And hopefully, if the New York Jets draft him, develop him right, he turns out to be good. Because just imagine having 6'7" Mekhi Becton on the left and 6'9" Daniel Falele on the right. That would be insane. At pick 112, I was selecting Chad Muma, linebacker from Wyoming. He has the 4th most tackles in the nation with 129. He was a defensive back in high school and has 3 interceptions this season, so he is a pretty solid coverage linebacker. It's just he has not played a lot of good teams during his tenure at Wyoming. And I know that shouldn't be a knock on a player because it doesn't really matter who you play. It just matters that you are a good player. And that could be the case for Chad Muma, but you can't not include it because a lot of good players from smaller schools don't turn out to be amazing NFL players. And who knows if Muma turns out to be, that next player. Hopefully he doesn't, because I do think he can be a pretty solid player for the Jets. I mean, once again, he is another player that can be really good if he is developed properly. Pick 113, have us selecting Matt Hankins, cornerback from Iowa. Now, he has 3 interceptions this season. He has a very good play recognition. He's not so good at press coverage, but the Jets mainly run zone, so that really shouldn't be a problem for us. Now, I mean, he's been in Iowa for 5 years, and I definitely think that has to say something, because Iowa has developed some of the best defensive backs in the NFL, and the guy was at the school for 5 years. So I definitely think him being at Iowa for 5 years is going to make him a pretty solid NFL player, and he's probably going to join the group of Michael Carter and Bryce Hall for being late round cornerback selections, who are pretty solid. Pick 145, have us selecting Sam Laporta, tight end from Iowa. I mean, he's a pretty awesome blocking tight end. He can make plays as a receiver as well. He just comes from Iowa, though. Iowa has always developed really good tight ends, and I don't think Laporta is going to be a bad tight end. I mean, at least he's going to be a pretty solid backup, which I see him being. And I mean, if the New York Jets can land 2 solid tight ends in Weidemeyer and Laporta in this draft, I see that as an absolute win. And then for our final pick, 159, have us selecting Cade York, kicker from LSU. We need a kicker. And if drafting a kicker in the 5th round means we saw that need, then I'm all for it. Now, we did just sign Eddie Pinheiro, and maybe he becomes a solid kicker for us. And I guess time will have to tell on that one, but if he does not turn into a solid kicker, we definitely should draft Cade York. I mean, the guy's been pretty automatic at LSU. He's made a lot of his extra points, made pretty much all of his field goals. He can hit from long range. I mean, the guy's just a perfect kicker prospect, and hopefully the New York Jets can land him if Pinheiro does not turn out. Well, that was my very early 2022 mock draft, actually my second one. I will be making one after the season is over, so make sure to hit that subscribe and like button if you want to see that. And if you do want to see it, just hit that subscribe button, turn on those post notifications. Comment down below who your favorite pick was, and follow me on my social medias at Juden_Jets on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Well, I'm your host, Jujets, signing off for now. See you later. Peace.